The following program, The Lightning Strike, is sponsored by Mohammed Faheem, and to the extent applicable, their guests. The views and opinions expressed therein do not necessarily reflect those of NewsWeb Radio Company or its management.
Get ready to be jolted out of the ordinary and into a world where conversations are charged with intensity and facts. The Lightning Strike Talk Radio with your host, Mohammed Faheem, broadcasting live from the heart of the city on Chicago's Progressive Talk Radio, WCPT 820 AM. Welcome to a radio show that charges through the airwaves with an electricity like no other. Here's your host, Mohammed Faheem.
Good morning, Chicago, and good morning to the entire world, because we are being heard, folks, believe it or not, on the heartlandsignal.com website worldwide. And I would like to welcome our team today with Ken DeLuc in the studios.
Howdy, folks.
John Arena.
Good morning.
And our newest team member, former Congresswoman Marie Newman, joining us today. Marie, good morning. Welcome to the Lightning Strike.
Good morning.
Okay, folks, so here's the thing. If you want to join the conversation, feel free to call in. The number to call in is 773-763-9278. We are here every Sunday morning from 9 to 10. And if you want to join us, if you want to be a guest on the show, please go to our website, tlschicago.com, for the Lightning Strike Chicago, and send us a request. And if you have any questions, suggestions, feel free to contact us through the website. Today is going to be very important, folks. We are headed out to a fundamental change in what we see as Americans. So Trump now has come up with a Kooky plan to replace income tax with tariffs. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to talk about Louisiana's most recent attempt to shred the Constitution by passing a law to require the Ten Commandments to be on display in every school. We're also going to look at revisiting Project 2025 and how truly frightening fascist it is. And then Putin's new bromance now with North Korea. And of course, we're going to also look at Netanyahu continuing to thump his nose at Joe Biden now. Lots of things to cover, folks, and this is just the beginning. So as we head into the election season, please pay close attention to what we are doing, who we are looking at, who we are going to be electing. With that thought, Marie, let's get started with this Kooky plan now to replace income taxes with tariffs. Now, it was done before at Herbert Hoover's time during the Great Depression, 1928, 1930, with the Smoot-Hawley Act. And that was the worst decision that America could have made as far as economics are concerned.
Right. You're so right. Smoot-Hawley Act increased tariffs by 10%, right, which was astronomical at the time.
Yep.
After the Depression had started, so the stock market had already fallen. We were in very serious trouble. There were food lines. It was horrifying in this nation. Mm-hmm. And what did they do? They increased tariffs. So then we found out that, and economists have actually looked at this and studied this for years, that, in fact, it extended the Depression by at least 3 or 4 years unnecessarily. So to the extent that we have precedent for it not working, we have precedent.
Yep.
Let me explain to those who aren't really have a great economics background, and this is important. Mr. Trump comes up and says, hey, guys, I'm going to cut your taxes, and we're just going to put tariffs on, and China's going to pay. That is not the way this works. A tariff does not affect the company from the, who's sending the goods over. A tariff is legitimately an extra tax on you to pay for those goods on this end of the equation. And in this particular situation with what he's talking about, you're talking double to 4 times the amount of money for the cost of goods that are coming in. For example, you buy a car that's manufactured overseas. If it costs you $10,000 right now, if he puts the tariff on that he wants to put on, it's going to cost you between $18,000 and $22,000 for the same car. So when you think that you're saving all this money because you don't pay income tax, you're actually costing you way much more, and it affects people of lower and middle income much more impactfully than it does the rich people, because rich people aren't out there buying consumer goods and stuff. They already own all that stuff. They're taking their money, they're investing it, so they're not putting their money into the taxes through the tariff situation. It's just going to increase your personal burden and your buying potential on what you, the middle and lower income people, are having to deal with.
Hey, John, your thoughts on that?
Well, I think, people look at things in terms of entire products, but, so much of things that are assembled here, there are all these components that are all going to be taxed at this higher rate. So I think there's a multiplier effect in that. And again, to the point you just made, this is really just a rhetorical trick to say you're not going to have income taxes, but you're going to have other taxes. And when you look at states that have low income taxes and no income tax, that revenue they need to generate comes from somewhere. Maybe not in the levels you need it to actually have a good school system or a good water system. But I've met people from Texas who talk about $1,200 a month for a water bill, right? And it is because of scarcity, but it's also because that's the only way you can run a system is by generating enough revenue. And so it distributes the pain from writing one check to the federal government at the end of the year, if you have to all of these little checks to all of the things that government needs to fund.
So, folks, if you want to join the conversation, the number to call in is 773-763-9278. Again, you're tuned in to The Lightning Strike. We come every Sunday morning, and the website is dlschicago.com. In the studios with me, co-host Ken DeLuc, John Arena, and Marie Newman. And we are having a heck of a discussion going on. Here's the thing. Don't let the Trumpism get you, because this guy comes up with kooky ideas all the time. Okay, like, for example, when he went a couple of weeks back to that boat factory. Okay. And
with a tank of sharks somewhere.
And then he said, if you are on an electric boat and the electric boat sinks, are you going to stay on the boat and get electrocuted? Or are you going to get into the water and there's a shark 10 yards and he points to the right?
Because that's always the case.
So, I don't know, man.
Why
this
is
guy...
the boat sinking in the first place? I just don't understand that.
Okay. So here's the thing, folks. When America starts to sink because of these kooky policies, what are you going to do? Where are you going to jump? Are you going to jump into Russia and hope that Putin takes you? Are you going to go to Trump's other friend, Kim Jong-un or whatever? Yeah. Okay. And hope North Korea takes you? We have to really be realistic, folks. The upcoming election is not a binary election between good and bad, between one party and another party. The election is for the soul of America, and we have to step up. So if you want to join the conversation, feel free to call in. Marie, what happens in Texas? I was there in Texas for 15 years.
Yeah.
And everybody was no state taxes. Yeah, we still had to pay federal income taxes.
Yeah.
Okay. And the no state taxes looked very attractive, but when you start paying through your nose for everything that you're buying, you're not really putting any money back into your pocket.
That's right. And it affects all of the daily things. When we walk out the door, the federal government pays for much of the things that you see out the door, right? Is that our healthcare system, our school systems, library systems, and the like fall. And the proof in the pudding here is that Texas is in the bottom 5 states for education. So
there you go.
So it is. It's a frightening proposition to go by the way of Texas's policy.
There you go. And we got Nick from the Northwest Side calling in. Hey, Nick. Good morning. Welcome to the Lightning Strike. You are on, my friend, with 4 people in the studios today. What do you have to say, Nick?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I enjoy your show very much. Many of the shows on WCPT AM 820 are good shows.
Thank you.
Clinton rescinded or withdrew or eliminated or whatever you want to call it, one of the laws that was in effect. I believe Smoot-Hawley were 2 separate units of laws that were, even though it was a combination of people. But he withdrew or eliminated one of those rules to protect people from something happening bad financially, like in the Great Depression. I forgot exactly how it went, but would you be familiar? Which When did he withdraw and eliminate, and what effect could that have? Is there a positive effect by doing that, or could that have a negative effect?
I think he's talking about the Glass-Steagall Act. That was
Glass-Steagall.
Yeah, that real quick, that kept separate, banking institutions and investing institutions and insurance companies. So it had said there were silos that you had to stay in. With those, barriers, it's really, a lot of the problems we have right now economically come from that, because there is this crossover and this kind of predatory investment quality that we were separated from, and now, but without having those barriers, everything's an investment now, and everything is high risk, more high risk because of that.
Well, Nick, thank you so much for listening in. Thank you so much for joining us. Spread the word,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Go to our website, tlschicago.com. We also have our social media up now, and there's a YouTube channel, and start subscribing to that so you get the latest updates. Again, you go to youtube.com/@TLS Chicago for the lightning strike. And we will continue to educate people over here, because this is our future, man. This is our future. This is the future of our country, our children, our grandchildren. Where are we leading our folks into? Now, there are crazy things happening, and whenever you hear the word crazy, you just put the word R in front of it, and you suddenly find out that it is the Republican states and the Republican legislators who are coming with all of these kind of crazy things. And then you listen to the right-wing media, John. Oh, man. They are so much into the Kool-Aid. They have not just drunk the Kool-Aid. They have dunked into that.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys have got, I don't know. I mean, how do we fix stupid? That's my question, guys.
Education is the only chance we have.
Yeah. But as, we talking about Texas and other states where the education systems are failing, and Trump has said it. He said he likes low information and uneducated voters because they're easy to manipulate through fear. They're easy to manipulate through these kind of just throw it out there, and none of the backstory is there for people to hold internally. Say, but that idea sounds crazy because I know economics 101, or I, have this basic understanding of the world.
That's exactly it. The low information piece is what his secret sauce is.
Yeah.
It's completely that. And the only thing that I'll add to John's comment is that every economist, right, left, or center, they'll say one thing about the idea, or his kooky idea of replacing income tax with tariffs, is that is an express highway to inflation and stagflation.
Stagflation.
Express.
Look up that word, folks. If you don't know what stagflation is, that is stagnant
growth.
Growth. Yeah. There's no growth, and everything is shooting up. Yeah. So to put it very, very, very simply, right? Mm-hmm. So we have to pay attention to these things. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back on the other side of the break with what's happening in Louisiana with the 10 Commandments, and whether that is something that we need to be worried about. Again, a Republican state with kooky ideas.
Okay, on the...
Lightning strikes, my friend. Catch it in a bottle. Lightning strikes again.
Did you know there's an Illinois mandate that states by 2025, ComEd has to have 25% of the energy they deliver come from a green source? Because of this, plus the fees and taxes you've already paid on this program, if you qualify, you can get solar on your home at no out-of-pocket cost. This can mean an average savings on your electric bill of maybe 30 to 50%. More importantly, it would eliminate the uncertainty of ComEd raising your rates by whoever knows how much each year. Some people have noticed a 41% increase on their bill this spring, and ComEd has been asking for another 80% increase over the next 4 years. If your average bill is $200 a month now, maybe it could be reduced to $100 a month. Now, 5 years, would you rather pay $115 or possibly $400 to $500? If you'd like to see if you can qualify for this program, call Ken DeLuc at 312-617-8979. That's 312-617-8979. Help us save the environment and change that electric bill burden. That's 312-617-8979. Take advantage of this program while it's still available.
Welcome back to the Lightning Strike with Mohammed Faheem.
Good morning, folks. Welcome back to the Lightning Strike, and you are tuned in to WCPT, Chicago's progressive talk radio station, and where facts matter. So all we talk about are facts, and the fact of the matter is what is happening in Louisiana is not good for the country.
Well, it's anti-constitutional, and we have some audio of Boris Sanchez from CNN interviewing Senator Ventrella, I believe is how you say her name,
okay,
who is defending this, and this, I think, will set this conversation pretty nicely.
Okay, so if you could please play that clip, Dylan.
Well, what's important about this bill and what's important to remember about this country is that whether we like it or not, Moses is in the Supreme Court of the United States. The Ten Commandments are in the Supreme Court of the United States. Moses is on the law in Congress. This is part and ingrained in our nation. This is a historical document that's important in Louisiana because in Louisiana, we believe in faith, family, and freedom. And that is why I voted in favor of this bill.
Well, also Louisiana, you believe in crawfish, right? So it's not shrimp, but crawfish in Louisiana.
Oh, let me address that. That's great. Now, it's very important in all schools from kindergarten up through college that these 10 Commandments should be in there, and it's important because the moral lessons that the 10 Commandments hold are amazing. And just I'll go real quick through these. The first three: no other God before me. Don't make false idols. Don't take the name of the Lord in vain. Well, that's pretty much Donald Trump, the orange God, right there. So it covers that end of it. Okay, the fourth one, remember to keep Sabbath holy. Okay, I'll give him that one. Honor your mother and father. I'll give him that one. Now, do not murder. That's a good one, too. The seventh one, and this is really important for all you third and fourth graders out there, thou shalt not commit adultery. Okay. I don't know where that's going on schools and why that's important. Thou shalt not steal. Okay. Don't bear false witness. Okay. And thou shalt not covet. So don't steal somebody's cow, I guess. But where is that even relevant as a moral compass for anybody in the school system? I just don't understand. And where is it in our Constitution again? At the
First Amendment, in the Establishment Clause. This is just super clear. There's no interpretation of the Constitution.
Okay.
We don't mix religion and our government, period.
But she does make an interesting argument. She says that on your dollar bill, it does have the words God, "In God we trust." So if you hold up the Constitution and you hold up a dollar bill, really, which one's really guiding us here, right? And that was what, 1950s, they added that to the bill. They added
even the Pledge of Allegiance, one nation under God, wasn't added until
so
the 50s.
We have a founding document that specifically says this is not who this country is. And she's making the argument that, but your dollar bill has the word God on it. And somehow that translates into put these words on the wall. And it's interesting. She talks about this whole thing is kind of set up. The tactic they're using is setting this up as the Ten Commandments are a historical document. And there were other documents in the bill saying they have to be posted, like, the Plymouth Agreement or something like that. Just kind of seemingly random documents, and that's how they're trying to say, well, look, it's just another historical document. And Boris does kind of challenge her on this, saying, well, what if somebody doesn't agree with this? And I think the second clip we have covers that. Let's play that and give her answer.
What do you say to the parents of students or even teachers who don't share your religious views?
Don't look at it.
Don't look at it. And that's such a great way of looking at things, though. Don't look at it.
Doesn't that set up this contrast of, you know what, they don't like things that liberal people like, or people who are different than them, and they look at it. They stare at it with a burning eye, stare, but they won't take their own advice. If you don't like the pride flag, don't look at it.
Yeah.
John Alito's wife, you know, like if that's a problem for you, don't look out the window. It's not a real argument, right?
Yeah.
Because you should be able to look at things and then say, well, I don't like that, but it doesn't affect me that a flag is flying across the lagoon.
Or the flag is flying upside down.
Exactly, because that's not a religious document. But this, they're saying, well, just don't look at it if you don't like it. Well, I mean, I would say, what if, you know, I think he challenges her, what if the 5 pillars of the Quran are put up there? And she's like, well, but that's the Quran. And so then,
well, if you look at it, there is, I believe in the halls of Congress, there is a verse from the Quran also.
Yeah, absolutely there is. Yeah.
Okay, in the Capitol building.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know how many religions can you bring in over here?
Yeah.
I was at the World Religious Conference in Chicago last year, and it blew my mind. I thought that there were like 4 or 5 major religions that's going to be there. There were over 180 different religions exhibiting over there with booths in Chicago at the McCormick Place.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I said, I think expressly it is that we need to keep religion and the Constitution and, the state and religion separate.
Yeah. So let's talk about indoctrination for a second, right?
Thank you.
Is that the right and the radical Republicans are constantly saying that we're indoctrinating our kids when we talk about gender, sex, or identity, or anything in that area, right? And we are simply informing, right? We're presenting information. So if, in fact, they're making the argument that, we need to put this document up called the 10 Commandments, then it should be exactly equivalent that we're informing and presenting information, because that's what they're doing. So, but again, sex, identity, and gender is not religion, and it's not spoken to the same way. But in the First Amendment, it is very clear that religion should not be indoctrinated into us.
Yeah.
So,
and she makes this point in this interview where she says, like, she starts with, well, this is a founding moral document, right? Somehow that's our country was founded on the morals of the 10 Commandments, right? So it goes right to indoctrination. So yes, I mean, those would be great morals to follow.
And just to
but that never happened. It was never founded on morals.
Yeah, and let's be clear. Franklin, Madison, all of our founding fathers, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2, I think Washington was a religious man. They were all Unitarian or agnostic.
Exactly.
Truly. And they came from England because they wanted that.
Persecuted because of not following.
There was no winning in England.
So here's the thing, folks. Again, if you want to join the conversation, feel free. It's an open show. I always like to say it is for the people, by the people, of the people. That's what the Lightning Strike is. The number to call in to join the conversation, 773-763-9278. Write it down somewhere, plug it into your phone, and just call all your friends and ask them to have their smart speakers play WCPT so that they can listen in. It's one of those things that we are trying to get across to you again. It's not going to be a binary election, the Republicans versus the Democrats, the good guys versus the bad guys. There are some bad guys in the Democratic Party also. Let's not forget that. And there's some good guys in the Republican Party also, okay? Mm-hmm. But as Americans, who do we trust with our future? And obviously, Trump is not the guy that we should be trusting at this point. I don't know what has happened to the spine of the Republicans. Somehow, this guy has just taken over, and everybody is just bowing down to him. And now he's looking for his vice president pick now, and that is such a cluster happening over there.
Yeah.
Everybody, if you go back and look at what they were saying about Trump, and now they're coming up and kissing the ring.
Yeah, and it's bully politics, right? I mean, that's why. That's what I've seen in my time, serving in city council, where they get told, go along with this, whether you agree with it or not, or we're going to challenge you in your next election.
Yeah, but what happened with what was the former city council member who is in prison right now? Remember?
He's going for sentencing on Monday.
Yeah. Ed Burke.
Yeah, Ed Burke, and how he used to just bully everybody in the city council.
Yeah, And at one, just as a quick aside, at one point he called me a bully, and I was like, "Really, dude? Because you got that big stick you wield,
Finance chair,
and that green ink pen."
Yeah.
Okay, so our person of the week coming in at about 9:45 is Bob Dudley, and Bob has got such a great story. It'll blow your mind. I mean, he grew up on food stamps and help from the government. Bob turned his life around. He is a very successful businessman and entrepreneur now. He's done multiple things. He is, believe it or not, an actual rocket scientist also. Okay, so here's the thing. We like to highlight people who have turned their lives around so that we can learn some lessons from them, okay? And maybe we can influence some of our listeners to take a hard look at their life and say, hey, life is not that bad. You know, when you get up in the morning and you take a deep breath, say thank you, God, because, you know, how many people may not have gotten up that morning, and how many people may have got up and had some major health issues. So we have to be thankful for every single breath that we take and learn from these people who have succeeded in turning their lives around. So Bob Dudley is going to be joining us about 9:45, but now it is time for us to do a deep dive into Project 2025.
I'm going to bite the bullet and do the hard work and actually read that whole document. I've already started it. I'm about a quarter way through it.
So here's the concerns for progressive and liberals in this. Okay, there's going to be policy reversals. There's going to be judicial influence, deregulation, social policies, polarization, government's efficiency, the implementation risk, the economic impact, the democratic norms that are going to be thrown out the window, public involvement is long-term effects. This Project 2025, folks, I was talking with my dentist the other day. Qualified person, educated person, had no idea about Project 2025. Mm-hmm. He says, Project what?
Yeah.
And I said, Doc, you live in this country, right? You got to pay attention. He said, man, I'm so focused on my business, I don't have time to learn these things. That's where you come to shows like the Lightning Strike, folks. We will try to peel back the onion skin one layer at a time and expose to you what is happening. The Heritage Foundation is the father of this entire thing, and there's about 100 other organizations that are joining them. And these guys are bent on changing America as we know it. And Marie, let's start off with your take, Project 2025. What should we be concerned about?
I hate to say it so tritely, everything. Oh my
Everything.
God. Oh my
There you
God. It would be a complete reversal in philosophy of government and the type of government. So we are a blended democracy and republic, right? A lot of people say we're either a democracy or Republicans say we're a Republican, Democrats say we're, newsflash, we actually are a blend of democracy and being a republic, right? So at the end of the day, it would everything would fall away and it would be authoritative or fascist in nature in terms of its philosophy. So replacing all of our public servants and civil servants with loyalists to the king. Yeah. Right?
Okay, so that's step number one. Okay, yeah. They want to have this entire focus on replacing our civil servants. They want to take the bureaucracy out of government and replace it with people who kiss the ring.
By the way, this document is right at its face. The first few pages is completely hypocritical because it says that they want to dismantle the administrative state, return self-governance to the American people. Conservatives desire a smaller government, not for its own sake, for the sake of human flourishing. That is actually 180 degrees of what the plan is in this document. So they're selling you one thing, trying to butter the bread on the right side and then, turning it over. And it's just, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. So Dave from Hoffman Estates is calling in. Dave, we are discussing the Project 2025 at the moment, but we'll take a step back and see what you have to say on the Ten Commandments portion. My friend, go ahead, and you are going to be joining the conversation on WCPT. Good morning.
Good morning, Mohammed. They did this stuff with the Ten Commandments back about 23 years ago, if you recall, in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
back then, that judge, Alabama Supreme Court judge, had that big granite monument as you entered the rotunda there at the Alabama court.
Yeah. They shot him down, Dave, and he actually resigned.
Well, it was done before.
Yes.
So I'm just saying it's past history. And if you recall, wasn't that around the time that the right was clutching their pearls over the Michelangelo's David because it was naked?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this begs the question: that Supreme Court versus this Supreme Court.
Yeah.
How do they now interpret the First Amendment and the separation of church and state in this moment in time? Because they've been laid bare, right? We know that there is Christian nationalists on the Supreme Court
on the court
that are
now,
using that as to drive their doctrine and their decision making.
Yeah.
So I think and again, this law, this 10 Commandments bill in Louisiana flows from Project 2025. It's right. This is where they test the guardrails to see where they can make inroads. Yeah. And so I have less confidence that our Supreme Court now will not find a way to say, well, this is okay.
Well, John, I want to kind of go back a little bit as to what happened with the Supreme Court this week with the second amendment now about guns, right? Yeah. So somehow, except for Clarence Thomas, because he's probably still trying to figure out who's going to be paying him what going forward. Okay,
free bump stocks for life.
Anita Hill warned us about this guy 30 years back.
Yep, she did.
We have such a short memory, and we need to look at the Supremes, man. They almost look like caricatures now, what they're doing. But they did say that you can't have guns for somebody who is convicted of domestic battery or something, who has got a record of domestic violence. That is at least one step that they seem to be looking at. I don't know why they did that.
Interestingly, who we can thank for that, and this is very fascinating. Amy Coney Barrett.
Yeah.
She actually went to the other judges, because there was three, Alito was among them, and Thomas, and said, look, domestic abuse is a epidemic in this country. And so, I don't thank her often.
Yeah, you're right.
But I will say thank you on that.
Okay.
But it's, I think the challenge for me is that these rulings are so all over the place.
Yeah, it is.
So you have her defending that, but then, voting for allowing a semi-automatic to become a machine gun through.
Yeah, the bump stock things, man. That's a crazy ruling.
Yeah.
If you don't know what bump stocks are, folks, I mean, this is something that you can add on to any semi-automatic and make it a fully automatic.
Overnighted too.
And we have a perfect example of the carnage that they can create because of the Las Vegas shooting, where 50 people were killed and over 100 injured, and it created a mess. I mean,
in a matter of 4 minutes.
Yes.
Yep. That's all it takes.
87 rounds a minute he got off.
Yeah.
I mean, how is the right, so the doctrine to say we have to protect life, and then, but not lives that are walking around in a grocery store.
Here's the thing, John. I mean, when you look at the right, it's nothing but hypocrites. Okay, I'm sorry to say that, folks, but you say something, you do something. You look up to somebody who has broken every single commandment of the 10 Commandments, and you say, "Oh, he's our leader. We are going to follow this, this." Pied Piper across the oceans and just get oh God, I can't even come up with the words. But Earl, thank you for holding on. Earl is calling in from Hyde Park and wants to talk about Project 2025. Thank you so much, Earl, for joining the conversation. Good morning. You are on.
Good morning, one and all, and happy Sunday, and to wish you all well. And I just wanted to briefly give my impression of a fear of Project 25 overall. And like you mentioned, the Heritage Group and the other conservative groups that have fallen in line with the concept is really based on the fact that they think they can control the president. And my fear is that they may give Trump enough people around him where that he becomes the monster. Like Frankenstein couldn't control his monster. They may not be able to control him, even though I don't like their agenda. I think it's really detrimental to just about everything that you guys were talking about earlier in the program. But we might end up with a more dangerous situation with Trump running wild. And that's one of my greatest fears, too. Not only I'm really worried about the Project 25 and from top to bottom.
You have a very good cause to be worried. And here's the thing, man. Talk to your friends. Talk to your neighbors. It's not just listening to us on the radio. Spread the word at the grassroots level. And let us make sure that these people don't come into power to implement their nefarious plans. And with that, Ron, thank you for holding on. Ron from Michigan, thank you for listening in, Ron. What do you have to say about Project 2025 today?
Thank you, Mohammed and panel. Yes, the thing that I'm concerned about is their plan for the military, to dismantle the military, because it's all woke. To their, like the general leadership, that's all going to be eliminated and put their fascist toadies in place, because they've all been taught in universities in the United States, which are all woke. The academies are all woke. Those officers have to be eliminated, replaced. The ROTC, all those, they went to liberal colleges, and they all have to be eliminated. Within the ranks of the military itself, you have divisions. Black soldiers congregate in their own group, white soldiers, and you have mixed race soldiers who, and the political views are pretty much split down the middle. And if Trump wins, are those people who, like General Milley, who's to be hung by Trump and his sons? I'm sure his sons will have pretty Nazi uniforms, and they'll be put in charge of the military. And but you think they're going to give up their weapons and peacefully go to their gallows, or soldiers who've been in the ranks loyal to the United States for 15, coming on 20 years? They're going to turn their guns over to idiot fascists? You're going to have a gun. FBI going to turn their weapons, CIA, to fascists who they know have their job is to eliminate them. You're going to have bloody situations, in my opinion. And you want civil war? Here it comes, baby.
Hey, Ron, thank you so much. You've basically, the fuse has been lit here, and in response to that, and I really appreciate you responding, because it's what you said is so important. People have to know, and people for the general public have no clue what's going on here. So everyone who's listened to the show for a while, my 3 favorite words in the world is compared to what. We're going to have a compared to what segment based strictly on this 2025 issue. So starting next week, I'm going to come up, and if you have, like Ron, you are worried about the military, send in an email about the military. We will cover that. I will say what the actual words are in the 2025 script and explain what they want to do. Marie will go back and say what either Biden has done or what he plans on doing in his next term to give a counter perspective on what you're getting into with one or the other. And then we'll actually bring on someone who's very well versed on evolutionary psychology, why people are tribal, why people, go black or white or Republican or Democrat or red or blue, and explain the psychology behind it, and say you have to really look out with what's in your own best interest. So maybe there's a transition where you don't have to drink the full Kool-Aid of what 2025 represents, which is literally the destruction of our country. So I appreciate you bringing in that up, and for anybody who's interested, please participate, because like Mohammed says all the time, this is your show. If you happen to go online and see some of the 2025 talking points and you want us to discuss it, send us an email. We'll be happy to put that on.
Okay, you can send it directly to Ken. It's Ken at tlschicago.com. You can send it to John at tlschicago.com, or you can send it to me it's mfaheem at tlschicago.com. So it's pretty simple. Just go to our website and make sure that you send in a message through the website. Simple for us to get in touch. And thanks, Ron, for listening in, and thank you for participating also. It's critical, folks. our future is on the line, and I cannot overemphasize that. I've been saying that all morning today. Bob Dudley is going to be joining us shortly. He's our person of the week. We still have 2 more topics to cover, and we'll go through this. Time flies, Marie, I need 1 more hour on this. Okay. It's 1 hour is not enough to really cover things. But the new bromance that is happening between Putin and Kim Jong-un, and what is happening over there?
So, Putin is low on money. He's low on armaments. He is low on friends, right? So who do you go to? Who does a bully go to when they need a friend? They go to another bully, right? Mm-hmm. So he has visited North Korea and signed a 30-year agreement whereby Mr. Kim Jong-un will provide weaponry, armaments, ammunition, and support. So the support piece is interesting, right? What does that mean? Is he going to send soldiers over there? Mm-hmm. Like, what does that mean? So the bromance is on because, and now I'm sure, weirdly, Trump is jealous.
Oh, totally.
Well, he wants to get into that.
I can see him in
relationship.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. He's gone through 3 buckets of chicken now with this.
Okay. Folks, it's not about Republican or Democrat on the show, okay? We are all Americans. Just look at it from that point of view. What is in the best interest of our country? So this bromance that is happening between Putin and Kim Jong-un now, when those 2 devils come together and say Trump comes into power, man, it's going to be a threesome like the world has not seen in a long time. Okay, that is what our concern is. We also want to really quickly touch on Netanyahu thumping his nose again at Joe Biden. He came up with a video the other day saying that he's losing, or America is not supporting him with arms and ammunition just because we didn't send him the 2,000-pound bombs.
Yeah. But, what's interesting is...
what an ungrateful person. That's the only way that I can put it.
Yeah. But, there has been some high-level resignations from the military.
Right, and even the State Department also.
The State Department, because this is funding a genocide. This is supplying the tools to commit genocide. And when you talk about... There's a lot of debate over, what's the... When we go in and do a military action, the collateral costs are taken into account. So, whether you move forward with that. They rescued 4, Israel rescued 4.
4 hostages.
270 people were killed.
As a result. No.
That's just, there's no plan there. You're just going in and laying down fire everywhere.
And bottom line, the only reason he's doing it is so he doesn't go to jail. He wants to stay in office. Yeah. It has nothing to do with
they want less Palestinians to deal with. This is what was clear.
And that is something that we will be covering as we go also, folks, as to what is happening with our tax money, our tax dollars. A lot of the cities over here, there's ceasefire resolutions being proposed at different cities. And the argument that I have heard from the villages is, it is not our problem. We don't have any issue with, we cannot control what is happening at the national level. So that is something that we definitely have to address because it is our tax money, and our tax money goes into producing all those arms and armaments that are being shipped overseas day in and day out. Let us continue the conversation with Sheila White, our producer of the segment for our Person of the Week. Sheila, good morning. Thank you so much for joining. And Bob Dudley, man, what a pleasure. Sheila has said so much about you, Bob. Go ahead, Sheila, if you could introduce our Person of the Week to the audience.
It's not every day that we can have a former rocket scientist online with us on Sunday mornings, but Bob Dudley is a rocket scientist. He is a former karate expert with a number of different color belts. He owns dance schools all over the country, and he's a person that likes to support missions around the country, helping feeding people and taking care of some of the needs around the world. And he has a business Bible school also that we want to learn about. Bob, welcome to the show, The Lightning Strike.
Oh, thank you, Sheila. I really appreciate it.
Good morning, Bob. In the studios with me
morning,
is
Mohammed.
Ken DeLuc and Alderman John Arena and former Congresswoman Marie Newman, our co-hosts. So we got a full team today to listen to you, Bob. How do you do it, man? How do you do it? I mean, what keeps you up at night? What do you drink?
Well, that's a great question. I sleep 5 hours a night, so that gives me a little bit of extra time. But basically, way back in the 70s, when I first went in the military, I decided at every duty station I would learn and learn something new and apply it to my life. And I did that consistently. And from that, I had a chain of martial arts studios, a dance teacher, 3 different real estate investment companies, a software consulting company. And it just exploded.
That is something that we want to learn from you, Bob. So sleeping 5 hours a day. I did that for 15 years in Houston. I was running multiple businesses, from the construction industry to radio and business consulting and the internet. Hardly slept. But after 15 years, my dad came over one day, and my dad said, "Hey, what are you doing with your life?" I'm like, "Dad, I'm just busy." And he said, "Nope, I am not going to come to this country anymore. If you want to meet your dad, you need to take a break." And so after 15 years, I took a break, went home to visit with my dad.
Yep. Well, he's right.
But we have to put in the hard work, Bob. Nothing comes easy, right?
Yep. That's right. You have to put in the work. You have to.
Go ahead,
I'm
Sheila.
sorry, Bob. Tell us a little bit about your humble beginnings, because that's so important. A lot of people are born with a silver spoon in their mouth. So tell us a little bit about your humble beginnings rising to this level.
Well, born in 1957, when my mom, who was a teenager, and my dad, who was about 30, they got pregnant. Then they got married, then they got me, then they got divorced, and I've never, ever seen my dad. I wouldn't know him if he, stood in front of me. And then from there, it was a life of living on welfare and growing up in the projects in Los Angeles until I was about 18, and I'd gone to 17 different schools by that time, and I wound up just dropping out of high school and running away from home and slept near dumpsters in the alleys of Los Angeles for a while till I got hungry enough to join the Army. And there I got my high school diploma and my GED, and I wound up going to a Bible college in Michigan for a year and a half trying to figure out my life. And I wound up quitting that after a while. So I'm feeling like I'm going to grow up like my parents. I'm going to be on welfare my whole life. That's just how it felt. So a Thursday night, I pulled up into my driveway of my little apartment, started crying, asked God, "What do you want me to do?" He says, "I want you to go to the local university and get the hardest degree you can find." So I'm like, yeah, okay. The next day I go to Oakland University in Pontiac, Michigan, and I tell the registrar I want to get a college degree, and they asked me what I wanted to major in, and I looked at a catalog and said, I want to get a degree in physics. Well, she kind of rolled her eyes at me and says, "Yeah, all right, if you say so." And so I'm working. I have 2 kids at this time. I'm working in a factory full-time, second shift. Turns out the classes, the Bible college wasn't accredited, so all the classes I had to take over again, the English and the history and the social studies, all of that. And plus, traveling around a lot from different project to different projects and schools all over the place, I had to start off, you need to take calculus to take physics. So I had to start off in Algebra 1, Algebra 2, analytic functions, trigonometry. I had to take 4 semesters of math before I could even start my degree. And so I dug in. Now I'm living in Michigan. My family's back in California, so I've got that behind me. I've got a new chapter in my life. I'm taking off. First year, great. I make honor roll. Second year, make honor roll. Between my second and third year, there's a knock on the door of my apartment, and it's my mom and my second stepdad and my 6 half-brothers and sisters moving in with us. And my whole past just came crashing down on me. We got kicked out of the apartment within a week. But I decided to go off on my own and just separate myself from them. And what I wound up doing was I graduated at the top of my class with honors in 3 years. And it was more than learning physics. It was learning how to trust God and be successful in life. And that was the seed to doing, I have 4 college degrees from my bachelor's in physics, degrees in aerospace and astronautical engineering, theology, got a doctorate in theology. I've written 10 books. I've owned dozens of businesses. I've traveled the world teaching churches how to grow using New Testament principles. And now I've just launched a brand new private Bible college here down in Orlando, Florida.
Well. What a story, Bob. Thank you so much for sharing. Here's what I'm getting at, folks. Number one is believe in God, okay? No matter what conditions you're going through, believe in God. Okay, you're a Christian, be the best Christian that you can be. If you're a Hindu, be the best Hindu that you can be. Okay, if you're a Muslim, be the best Muslim that you can be. There's one God. We all have to understand that. And then hard work and education. No one is born to be poor, right?
Right.
So thank you. Such an inspirational story, Bob. And the more that we can learn from people like you, thank you so much, Sheila, also for bringing Bob in as our person of the week. This is what the show is all about, folks. It's not just about politics or social issues. It's about learning to be the best that we can. And we can only do that through knowledge, through hard work, through listening to people and learning from others who have done it, who know more than we do. That's why now in the studio, also in our team, we have a team of people who know more than the other person does. And that's what makes the show so powerful.
Speaking of team, we're going to put a shout out here. We need help as this political season is getting heated up. We can only do so much ourselves, and we're looking for some very talented people. An intern, for example. Now, you can have a communications background or a political science background. Either or would be a good fit for us. Once you complete this adventure, you'll probably come by, if you're good, with some great recommendations from a former congresswoman, a Chicago alderman, a media rock star, and some guy with a beard. So if you're interested, give me a call or send an email at ken@tlschicago.com if you want to become an intern with us, and we'll try to bring you on board.
Wonderful. And on that note, again, please remember this. This is a show that we started about almost 10 months now. I think today is our 45th episode. We are not taking any advertising. We are not going in the corporate route. We want to make sure that we can talk about subjects that we can be comfortable discussing with our family. So you guys are our family. Sheila is our segment producer for A Person of the Week. Bill Shepard is our music director. Again, Bill is unable to join us today because he's taking care of his mom who has dementia and Alzheimer's. So Bill is spending time with his mom today. That is the kind of folks that we have in this team. So if you want to be a part of the team, if you want to be a guest, go to our website, tlschicago.com, send in a request. And if you want to be a person of the week, Sheila would be more than happy to talk to you. Bob, any parting words from you as to how can we turn our life around? What keeps you up at night?
Great question. You said something when I was waiting on the line. Our future is on the line. And I would say, hold on to that because it is so true. I have friends from Pakistan, Afghanistan, New Zealand, Australia, Brazil, all over the world. They're seeing the same things. It's like society is crumbling. And I think if we can take a stand, you find a cause bigger than you are, and you go for it. I think too many of us have become passive and just let the world take over and life to just happen to us. And we've got to step out and find what that dream is that God has laid on our hearts.
That is so true. Again, folks, Bob Dudley is our person of the week, and this is the Lightning Strike talk radio show. We come on WCPT, Chicago's progressive talk radio station, every Sunday from 9 to 10. You can also catch us on the heartlandsignal.com website. You can catch us on the Facebook page of WCPT. So you go to facebook.com/WCPT820 or facebook.com/TLS Chicago. Or you can ask your smart speaker to play WCPT so you can join in with us. The number to call in always is 773-763-9278. You can call or you can text while we are on online over here, and we'll be happy to address issues that keep you up at night. Let's not forget it and be thankful that we live in a country that allows us freedom of expression. Our First Amendment rights are very, very important for us. So is our Second Amendment rights also. Don't get me wrong on that. Second Amendment is extremely important. So is the First Amendment. And we need to keep church and state separate. That is the message that I want to end the show on. Again, Marie, thank you so much for joining us today. Yep. John, thank you so much for joining. Ken, thank you. Dylan, thank you for manning the boards. Over and out, folks. We'll be seeing you next week, Sunday morning. Same time, same place, same station.
The preceding program, The Lightning Strike, was sponsored by Mohammed Faheem, and to the extent applicable, their guests. The views and opinions